All praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Let's get into this lesson.
Carpet bombed Iran. The United States has just carpet bombed Iran and has officially restarted the war. Look. Forward. Do not expect this war between the United States and Iran to end anytime soon. It is going to escalate into World War III once China, Russia, Korea get involved. Before this war escalates into World War III, make sure you follow this account right now to stay updated. The United States.
Alright, so as you can see, let's click on this page a little bit, right? Because a lot of this news is very recent, right? Let's go. Let's go here.
The United States, especially now that Iran is obliterating the United States.
Slovakia.
The United States has.
Alright, Slovakia, brother.
Is obliterating the United States, especially now that Iran shot down one of the most expensive U.S. drones that the United States has, which is the U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone that they shot down.
And basically what's been going on is Iran actually made a response, right? Where Iran recently struck Bahrain, right? Strikes back. It says Iran launched retaliatory strikes on July 9th, 2026, hitting U.S. military bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. These attacks followed U.S. airstrikes on Iranian coastal targets after President Trump declared a bilateral ceasefire officially over, right? So even though Trump declared a ceasefire is over, of course there's probably going to be another ceasefire. Okay. There's probably going to be another period where, things may quiet down. But as you can see, Iran and America are going back at it again, because I believe what ended up happening was a few ships were getting close to the Iran, and Iran struck them back, right? And then it caused America to release airstrikes on Iran, and then Iran struck military bases, as you can see, in Kuwait and Bahrain, right? So, but as you can see, so far, America's presence is leaving Iran with all these military bases being struck, right? Either U.S. is losing its grip in Western Asia, right? It's losing its grip in that regional area, or also known as its power. And the thing is, the only way this war goes is that this war has to continue, because America no longer has control over the Strait of Hormuz, right? Matter of fact, is Iran talking about closing the Strait of, I believe it's called Bab el-Mandeb. Yes, Iran has issued direct warnings that it could block or restrict the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, right? And that's the other strait that also, and of course this news was from a little bit ago, but this is also the strait that's actually right by the Strait of Hormuz. It's lucky we're gonna get another video over here. Here we go. Let's get this out.
Here in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve here in the U.S. is running dangerously low. And Washington may soon have to face the possibility of talking to Moscow again.
Credible insiders now say the team is negotiating the Ukraine-Russia deal. They have spoken with Trump about lifting sanctions on Russian oil.
The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve has not fallen to the level it's at right now since the early 1980s. Think about that. America's emergency oil stockpile, created after the 1970s oil crisis to protect the country during national emergencies, is now sitting at its lowest level in more than 40 years. And some energy analysts are warning that the amount of oil that can actually be safely withdrawn may be far lower than the headline numbers suggest. One analysis of a 123-page Department of Energy report estimates that only about 105 million barrels remain readily available without risking damage to the reserve itself. Are we risking a true critical emergency for a political one? The analysis goes on to opine that at the current rate we're moving, the U.S. could run out of usable emergency oil by October 4th of this year. But gets worse. If the oil reserve for the military is off limits, which reports now indicate is being heavily considered by the Trump administration, that date is not October. It moves up to July 10th. That's in 8 days.
Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see Bedlam?
Yeah, this is a very big deal. And if you're wondering what his reference to Bedlam is, well, let's define it for you. Webster's dictionary defines it as a state of uproar, wild confusion, and pandemonium. In anticipation of closing a deal with Iran that would open up the Strait of Hormuz, the Trump administration let a key Russian oil waiver expire and promised to hit Moscow with even tougher sanctions. Here's the paradox. That deal with Iran did not go through, and Russia's oil exports are still rising, and the global energy market is getting tighter.
I think what the president has told us to do is use this MOU to sort of refill the world's oil economy, to refill some stocks, and then to see where the hand is.
Look, we're throwing a lot at you here, but here's what's important. The physical supply of oil doesn't care about politics. It cares about barrels. And if those barrels become too scarce, policy can change very quickly. That's why we're now hearing reports that the United States and Russia are possibly finding themselves back at the negotiating table. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Any disruption there could send oil prices soaring overnight. So ask yourself this. If America's emergency oil reserve is already near multi-decade lows, if global shipping remains unstable, and if sanctions continue to constrain major producers, then what happens next? Does Washington double down? Or does it eventually have to reopen conversations that many in Washington will tell you are politically impossible? Because when it comes to energy, ideology has a way of meeting reality, and kids, reality always wins. Strategic Petroleum.
Right, and basically what this guy is saying is eventually the political smoke show is... Eventually you're going to see the past the political smoke show. The political smoke show is not going to be able to distract the people anymore from what's really going on, because what's really going on is America apparently is running out of oil from its strategic reserves. Now, people always say America can make its own oil. Alright, cool. But the thing is, they say July 10th is when America will run out of the basically oil it uses for its citizens, right? If it's not going to touch the military oil. Now, here's the thing. I'm not sure how true that really is, because tomorrow is July 10th, and it still seems that there's no worry about oil running out tomorrow, right? So, yeah, I don't know about that. Now, of course, you know, the oil shortages may happen later than July. It could be in September, but we're not sure, really, to be honest. But we do know that rationing of gas may come soon. It says in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 15, neither there shall there be any work of Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do, right? Because, you know, if you don't have oil, that means you won't have electricity. That means you won't be able to ship products because you don't have the oil. And eventually that even means there's not going to be a police, right? Or if there is a police, they're not going to be able to get to you because they need oil. So they'll need to prioritize specific cases. It says in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, right? And the grinders will be few. and think this is going to be a terrible world at that time. But that's good news for us. Lord willing, we are of the elect, and all praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect and hopeful elect 144,000. Shalom.